Hi again. I think I'll record two at once. The last one that I just recorded was from June 22nd, and this one is from June 24th. Well, at 00:34, so it just passed midnight. And it was the first journal of that day. Haven't looked the Mayan day up, haven't got a title, so let's find out what's here. I feel so honored to have these journals flow through me. Perhaps in coming centuries, people will be more aware of the alchemy that is possible through simple writing, especially when you're in heart. It is such a magic. Do you ever wonder why that is? I know many of you have started or continue to journal, and I know it will prove itself to you, even guide you within, guide you into a fuller and fuller awakening. It is amazing. I have a sense of a possible why, which has to do with who we are. This, more than anything, is what has been robbed from the people alive today and in recent centuries. We have had stripped from us the awareness that we are divine. We've been given idols and heroes to look up to and ascribe greatness to, with never a hint that we have our own greatness within. Well, it's not exactly our own. In some mystical way, it's well beyond that. But remember, we have had our identity falsified. So when we say our own, no, it does not mean that, but rather far greater than that. It is most urgent that before we explore anything, any idea or subject at all, that we first be reminded or remind self of who we are, that we are source. Unless we start from there, we'll be tempted to play it small, just as we have been taught. By belief in the small self, the ego, the false identity, we clip our own wings. We trim our light down to a candle flame. Well, my friends, we are a sun. We are the brilliance and the darkness of Source. At the very least, we are divine. So let us all center down deep within before we go on. Get in touch with the real self. Then we take the journal journey together, ever centered in heart. The magic of the journals is the magic of us, of the true self. In these days of the clipped wing light beings, higher self must get creative to put in an appearance on the 3D stage. It need not always remain this way, but for now it seems to be that as long as we hold off our majesty at such distance, adopting the lesser self in its place, that our divine nature comes through when we journal. Journaling is not carried out by me from the perspective of mind. It is very much a heart thing when I speak of it. I know that other sorts of journaling are possible and honorable too. It's just that they are not my way, which is always to go deep. Since the mind cannot convey me to such depths, my joy is to go deeper within. This heart that I am is the same heart that all are, for we are ultimately the one. While this is something that most people don't encounter in any one lifetime, yet it is accessible if only they knew. Not only have we been suited up in this lesser self of the ego or the mind for this life, but all traces of anything deeper being possible have been all but erased from both history and society, which is run in a very small way. So, I come to remind you, you are Source, my friend. You are us. You are me. Please note that me, turned upside down, is we. I share this with you to help you get the fragrance of our overall oneness. You need not experience it directly to know it exists, or at least suspect that it does. Yet the knowing, just knowing that it exists, opens a new portal that for many hasn't been opened before. Many think in their mind-centric way that all of this talk of oneness is just allegory, meant to represent an idea or a philosophy, rather than something more real than that false identity they don't know they wear. Well, it is not. It is real beyond anything 3D can deliver up, including all those false identities. Yet it is not necessary to experience this just yet, or even in this lifetime. I mention it because you already have, many, many times. You carry the records of all your lifetimes in the body you work with there. The moment you leave a body in its death, you come once again into our oneness, and then, you know, it's time and past time we quit thinking of self as our body or as our mind. That's rather like saying you are your suit of clothing or your automobile. It's just about as ridiculous, too. And yet, it takes getting rid of some old beliefs before we begin to really see this. You'll know you have truly seen or experienced it when you have your first great laugh at your expense, forever having believed you could be that. So, stay in heart with me. Your great wisdom is to be accessed there. No, it doesn't abide there, for heart itself, the capital H one, is not a place. It's more like a portal into the all that is, that was, and that ever shall be, into the beyond, and even beyond that. That doesn't matter, though. Just keep centering down in your chest. It helps keep you in contact with everything deep. So, why is it that simple paper and pencil, that journaling, can be so magical? How can it manage to take us to the heights as it does, and to the depths too? Why is it like that? Well, you've heard of projection, right? That's when you take what's within you and project it out onto what you see. Perhaps the journal helps us do a bit of that. One thing I do feel is that we connect with our own divine reality, our deep inner nature and being, via the journal. As long as you follow a few quite simple guidelines, you're just about guaranteed to be successful at it. And yet these are strange guidelines, for they are of heart, and heart is a quote-unquote place like no other on earth, or even in 3D. Everything is different in heart. What is right side up in 3D is upside down when you go within. All the rules have been changed, you'll soon discover. Nothing remains quite the same. So, the first guideline is to completely drop all expectations of any kind. That's right, we don't journal to get from any point A to any point B. We don't use the journal for that or for anything. Journaling is an experience. It is a flow, and when you really connect with it, it is a heart flow. It is divine. So to drop expectations is mandatory, since those are all creatures of mind and of thought. They have no place in heart. This is a sizable challenge for some when we first start. Why is that? Our life has taught us to use things to seek an advantage of some kind, always trying to best someone or something, to improve in this way or that. Well, let's drop all of that right now. It will keep you from connecting as deeply as you might like. Are you feeling this? You will be if you made your way down deeply within. You will be moving from thinking into sensing, and there's a huge difference to be discovered between them. Thought abides on the surface of 3D life. That's why it's so linear, it has no choice. Heart, on the other hand, is quite unlimited. Literally, no limits exist for it. So, it's important not to take any of this into thought. If that seems strange to you, just consider that the body's heart does actually produce neurotransmitters, brain chemicals. Your heart can think. Even the body's physical heart can do this. And your capital H heart all the more. This is Alice in Wonderland, Dorothy in Oz type of unlimited, very strange stuff. I recommend we all plant in our belief garden the beautiful plant called Thoughtful Heart. Its fragrance, when it blooms, reminds us that we don't need mind any longer for thought. Not on our spiritual journeying. Mind's thought is terribly useful for 3D, but it is just not needed here, in our kingdom of heart. Instead, we will have mind act as a consultant to heart, backing it up and support it on our journeying there, supporting it. My journals have shown me how I am reprogramming mind as I go, and I know those of us awakening are all doing this. As we feed mind our newly chosen beliefs to plant in place of that old programming stuff, it creates a bit of a stir within. We likely will get rather uncomfortable on planting a new belief. It may feel awkward, something just not right for a bit. That's until we notice what's going on there. It will generally be because the new belief isn't a compatible planting with some of the old belief weeds growing there. As a result, those old beliefs surface and argue for their rightful place in the garden. After all, they say, they've always been there, and they were there first, yada, yada, yada. Well, this is why we were uncomfortable. We were sensing the jangling of shifting beliefs inside, there in the subconscious. It's an absolutely ideal situation, actually. It gives us a fine opportunity to observe and evaluate those prior beliefs, and most often give them the boot, digging them out so our new belief can flourish in peace. In heart, one of the things we discover is get ready for this, the value of discomfort. Okay? Self-observing shows us that discomfort is an excellent tool for our growth. Its presence shows us that something inside needs adjusting, and knowing what is ideal. So many people go through life with vague discomforts and feelings of dis-ease or even depression, yet without ever being able to precisely identify the cause. So, for us, discomfort need not last long at all. We take advantage of the fact that this is the realm, 3D, of constant change. The only constant in 3D is change, so that can work like everything else to our advantage. A lot depends on our attitude, our general perspective on life, and on owning that. Though our attitude is something that is our very own, no one can change it for us but us. Yet, most people have given their power over attitude away. Instead, they blame life in some way for what befalls them, and for how they feel about it, not realizing that they have full power over that, if they will but claim it. That's what it takes. An attitude of overall gratitude is a priceless treasure, I kid you not. It will do more to bring enjoyment into life than almost anything else. Our attitudes are largely a product not of what happens to us, but of our beliefs. There is no thing more powerful in creating your life as it is than your beliefs. They are the structural underpinning of everything else. Just like any other belief, you can also plant attitude flowers in your interior garden. Attitude of gratitude flowers will also bring forth change. At first, when you plant anything new, you may experience some days or even weeks of discomfort, of feeling out of sorts. If you are self-observant, this discomfort is a great gift. It points you clearly in the most advantageous, the most beneficial direction to go. Taking on new beliefs will cause internal shifts every time. Some of them may be so minor that you may not even notice the stir, but it'll be there. You are changing your overall vibration too, your frequency, so it's bound to feel a bit different. You may find things happening either in your thoughts or relationships or emotions that are surprising. You won't know where they came from or what they mean. It's a very good idea, in addition to a grateful attitude and dropping all expectations, to also empty out while you are at it. Drop all attachment to your previous beliefs and your current ones. Having beliefs is okay, but being attached to them, well, that's what gets in the way. It can make things harder, much harder than they need to be. I often speak of the empty cup, of finding the emptiness within. This is what I mean by that, just letting go of all attachments to everything. Let us start with thought, for we've all been raised to be good little thought addicts, as well as good little consumers. We don't need that crap, my friends, and it's time to just see that clearly and let it go. You can't release what you haven't yet seen, however. A broad general release statement isn't as powerful as it might sound. This may be largely due to how small the conscious mind is in relation to the rest, about 5 or 10%. Yet, with this small percentage, people have proposed to rule their life. we can look around to see our results. While it may be obvious, yet we don't often see what's obvious, that beliefs are largely subconscious things. They are buried down deeper than our conscious mind has an access pass. So it isn't the best tool for the job of changing beliefs. It helps with the work and the planting of new beliefs, but it can't tell you what else your belief garden is growing for you. Since you can't release what you're not aware of, it will take some self-observing and centering to begin to see what beliefs you've been programmed with. Just your constant watchful attitude is a gem that helps you spot what's going on in the deeper layers of your being. As long as you remain in heart, you'll be able to view those deeper layers. This won't be possible from the level of conscious mind. Once seen, you enter the choice point, the critical spot or phase where you get to decide, stay or go, keep or discard. Only then can your desire to be free of certain things bear fruit, as opposed to that broad, general desire to improve that's too unfocused to produce this success. This is very much you in process of taking your power back. With every decision that we make from heart on any sort of belief, we are re-empowering the self. Now, finally, instead of all that programming over which you had no choice in childhood, you get to choose what your life shall be like. In choosing your beliefs, that's basically what you're doing, sculpting your life. While the changes won't necessarily appear overnight, they will come. Be sure not to look for them, though, not to hold any expectations of any kind. If you do, then you slip back into the mental rut of doing this to get that, of using things instead of experiencing them. That is secondhand living. It's not what I call life. Endless blessings be yours. Namaste. Are the brilliance and the darkness of Source. At the very least, we are divine. So let us all center down deep within before we go on. Get in touch with the real self. Then we take the journal journey together, ever centered in heart. The magic of the journals is the magic of us, of the true self. In these days of the clipped wing light beings, higher self must get creative to put in an appearance on the 3D stage. It need not always remain centuries. People will be more aware of the alchemy that is possible through simple writing, especially when you're in heart. It is such a magic. Do you ever wonder why that is? I know many of you have started or continue to journal, and I know it will prove itself to you, even guide you within, guide you into a fuller and fuller awakening. It is amazing. I have a sense of a possible why, which has to do with who we are. This, more than anything, is what has been robbed from the people alive. Hi again. I think I'll record two at once. The last one that I just recorded was from June 22nd, and this one is from June 24th. Well, at 00:34, so it just passed midnight. And it was the first journal of that day. Haven't looked the Mayan day up, haven't got a title, so let's find out what's here. I feel so honored to have these journals flow through me. Perhaps in coming centuries, it is most urgent that before we explore anything, any idea or subject at all, that we first be reminded or remind self of who we are, that we are source. Unless we start from there, we'll be tempted to play it small, just as we have been taught. By belief in the small self, the ego, the false identity, we clip our own wings. We trim our light down to a candle flame. Well, my friends, we are a sun. We are alive today and in recent centuries. We have had stripped from us the awareness that we are divine. We've been given idols and heroes to look up to and ascribe greatness to, with never a hint that we have our own greatness within. Well, it's not exactly our own. In some mystical way, it's well beyond that. But remember, we have had our identity falsified. So when we say our own, no, it does not mean that, but rather far greater than that.